Okay everyone, welcome to one of our latest tank tips videos. In this particular video, we're going to shoot and talk a little bit about the Ultra Reef protein skimmer. With me today, which I never have a guest, but this is going to be our first one, this is Scott Grosclose from Aquarium Specialty. He is the distributor and the reason we have this skimmer right now. It's rare that I signal out any kind of equipment unless it is really good. When Scott brought these in here the first time, it's just like it's another skimmer, no big deal kind of thing, and then I started selling them and putting on my service accounts. Now we have probably about 120 service accounts, so not as many as some, but more than a lot, and I've had a lot of time in the last, how long have we had them? 2 months? 3 months?
Probably a little less than 2 months.
Okay, so in that amount of time, in all the tanks that I've put them on, the performance is absolutely amazing. It's almost as amazing as the construction. Okay, cool. So anyway, getting into the actual bones of the skimmer before we actually set this up and I show you how it runs, I want you to take a look at the design. And the most amazing thing and the first thing that you notice when you look at this is the machining of the unit. It's every single thing looks like or has an industrial kind of grade. Everything's heavy. The coolest thing about it is that you don't have this O-ring that as you're pulling the skimmer top off, you end up wearing most of what's in the skimmer for the rest of the day. That's my biggest complaint when I'm servicing, is that a lot of skimmers are either over machined where they're too tight, or when you're trying to get in, especially when you've got to get under a cabinet or in a difficult space, it's hard to deal with certain parts of the skimmer. That is not a problem with this skimmer. And again, this arm, which tends to be broken on some skimmers because of, you know, the poor quality or poor craftsmanship, or it's just not as sturdy enough, this thing is solid as a rock. This thing weighs a good amount, but the cool thing is it doesn't take up a lot of space. Very small footprint for the size skimmer and what it does. I'm an organic guy. Scott can probably talk a lot more about the technical construction of this. Would you like to kind of go over that?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, Chuck touched on the collection cup and how everything's really solid. I've got 2 of these that I'm actually running right now in our shop. Both of them are in our farm room. I've got the 200 model, the UPS 200 model, which is on about a 300-gallon total volume system. And then I've got the big boy, which is actually is on a 400-gallon system, and it's rated up to about 500 gallons, that skimmer. The collection cup alone on the big skimmer that I have is about 7.5 pounds. Just this portion of the skimmer right here, I put it on the scale when they first came in because I noticed it was kind of beefy, you know, as far as the weight goes. I think it weighs a little over 2 pounds just for this piece right here. All of this is machined out of high density PVC, all those white components that are part of the skimmer. The acrylic is thicker than most skimmers you'll see on the market. If you notice here, like the collection cup, the diameter of the thickness of the acrylic rather, is really nice. The gasket's really unique too. It's not like a regular O-ring gasket. This is actually fastened to the collection cup itself. And then if you really want to get into a deep cleaning, you can simply pull this out and you can have access to the whole inside of the collection cup. And it's easy just to put back in place.
This is Italian made, right?
Oh yeah, the whole thing's made in Italy. The pumps that they use are actually Italian made as well. And they've modified them to work with the skimmer. One of the things I think Chuck noticed early on when he first set it up was how well, not only does it skim, but the bubble density inside the reaction chamber.
It's like a white sheet. I mean, you can't even count the bubbles like you can in a normal skimmer.
If you're standing back, you know, about this far away, it looks like you got milk inside your skimmer.
Milk, solid styrofoam. But we're going to show you that. So talking about that is great, but you know, the proof is going to be in the pudding, so to speak, or in the skimmer in this situation. But one thing too, this skimmer has adaptability in both Euro markets and this one, right? Doesn't it come with a separate plug?
Well,
or adaptable?
Some of the models, like this one here, comes with an AC plug on it for 110 volt already. They've got a couple of models right now that actually have an adapter plug on there, so it can go 110 or 220. The bigger skimmers actually come with a DC controllable pump, while the smaller ones have an AC pump. But to me, I think this pump is incredible, actually, this AC pump. Some people really want to go towards DC these days, which is fine, but the performance on the skimmer is so good, and it's very, very quiet. You don't really sacrifice anything at all, in my opinion, by going AC on this.
One really cool thing too that I want to mention, just because the last 3 applications, or the last 3 I've sold, have all gone in different size sumps on different size tanks. One of the cool things about it is once it's in there, I have not had to adjust the height of it. I haven't had to put it on a stand. I haven't had to raise it or change the water level. It has self-adjusted. So that has been another really great thing. A lot of times when we set up new aquariums, especially new aquariums, or we're moving a tank, there's a lot of foaming and we have to keep the skimmer off for maybe the first week or so until we can get everything adjusted properly. That has not been the case with the skimmer so far. I have not had any issues with the functionality from day 1 or day 10.
Taking the collection cup off obviously is very easy, but on the base plate here, you've got 4 titanium screws that will not rust in salt water, so that's a no-brainer there. You just unscrew these, this whole top plate lifts off, and then you have access to the skimmer pump underneath. And this is kind of cool. This is something different that you don't see with other skimmers that I've ever seen. When I first opened up my first Ultra Reach skimmer to use, I was like, what does this thing do? And literally what it does is it attaches to the faceplate or the volute on the pump here, and you just rotate it with this, and you can take the cover off really easily. And when you want to put it back on, you just turn it the opposite direction. So this comes with each skimmer.
So sharp quality design. Enough about conversation, let's go actually see it run.
Sounds good.
Okay, so in just thinking about where to put it in the store, I thought maybe one of the worst things we could put it in would be a brand new vat of live rock that just came in. We'll see kind of what happens together. Let's just see what it does. Alright, so as you can see, in a water level that would technically be lower than any sump I would ever have, it's still performing fantastic. There is, and you can tell even just by looking at the water, there is almost no amount of finite bubbles that are coming out from the skimmer to be caught back into the return pump to be put in the tank. And you can see what almost looks like, just like Scott was saying, it's almost like milk. At this point, it's at best solid styrofoam. The amount of bubbles that this puppy is putting out this fast in this small amount of water, which is also handy if you're one of those people that lets your sump get very low. So if you do, the pump is low enough, the performance of the skimmer already in just this vat in 2 seconds, and you're seeing it for the first time too. 2 adjustment knobs, which I did not talk about earlier. You've got a knob here to adjust the level, and then a fine tune right here with the Venturi. So
this right here is a very fine adjustment valve, so
doesn't take very much.
Doesn't take very much. I mean, it's going to just very, very slowly and gently open and lower the gate that's coming out here where you can see the water coming out. And like Chuck was saying right here, this is also a very fine adjustment knob here that allows the amount of air to get into the skimmer body.
Other cool thing is it's map priced. It's extremely competitive with other skimmers. This isn't some extremely expensive skimmer that you have to save for 2 years to buy. This is right on par with what you're going to see when you're putting up a tank for the first time. And other parts that attracted you to this company, skimmer?
Well, they're owned by a larger parent company, which is nice too. So they've got a big company right behind them that specializes in pump technology and fluid dynamics, hydrodynamics. So they're an engineering company, so they really know what they're doing. So that was one of the things that really attracted me to the brand as well, and obviously the construction quality and the performance. So it's probably safe to say this is one of the best brands we've picked up in the last 10 to 15 years.
In 30 years of doing this, I have not, for the price point, seen a better skimmer.
It's really hard to tell from the video here, but literally there's virtually no noise coming out of the skimmer at all. It's probably going to be one of the quietest things you have on your aquarium.
So, just as a quick thank you for paying attention to the video, thank you Scott for coming down. I've known Scott over 30 years, way back in the days when we were just a tiny little store, and now he has his own store, we have our own store, and at least we're still talking and visiting each other and trying to help each other out. So, God bless, thank you for paying attention to the video, have a great week, and we'll see you with another tank tip soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck.